about John Milton and age of John Milton, or also called Puritan age. And later we had talked about the text a little bit. We had read first few lines of the poem in which John Milton introduced the subject or the theme of his poem or the epic that he was going to write. Okay. I had also explained you the difference between form and content, and how when you are approaching a literary text, you will have to you need to identify, you need to understand what is a theme or subject, and in which form it is written. Okay, so the form of this particular poem, it is written in an epic form, and the subject of this epic is the first disobedience of man. That's what Milton introduces in the beginning of the poem. Now we were talking about the second part. Okay, so the first stanza of this poem, Paradise Lost, book 1, is the invocation to the muse. फॉर एग्जाम्पल आप मंदिर जाते हो, ठीक है, अगर आपको पढ़ाई में अच्छे नंबर लेने हैं तो आप सरस्वती माता की पूजा करते हो. इफ़ यू वांट मनी यू वुड मेक ए प्रेयर टू लक्ष्मी माता. इस तरह से करते हो ना. तो सिमिलरली द पोएट वांट्स टू राइट अ वंडरफुल पोएम. ठीक है, ही थिंक्स दैट ही हैज टच्ड अपॉन अ वेरी सिग्निफिकेंट, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक. ठीक है, तो इसलिए ही नीड्स the blessings of the goddess of poetry, to which he refers to as the muse. ठीक है. And now yesterday a few students were saying that it is not clear बात क्या हो रही है. तो इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में आपको समझा रही हूँ कि वो गॉडेस ऑफ पोएट्री को प्रेयर कर रहा है, ठीक है, ताकि वो इस पोएम को अच्छे से लिख सके, क्योंकि ये जो सब्जेक्ट है वो मानता है कि ये बहुत ही डिफ़िकल्ट सब्जेक्ट है और इसके बारे में बात करना बहुत इजी नहीं है. ठीक है, और एक बिब्लिकल स्टोरी पे बेस्ड है. सो दिस इज एन इम्पॉर्टेंट सब्जेक्ट एंड ए ग्रैंड सब्जेक्ट, बिकॉज ही इज टॉकिंग अबाउट गॉड, एग्जिस्टेंस, क्रिएशन ऑफ अर्थ एंड क्रिएशन ऑफ मैनकाइंड. ओके, सो फॉर दैट रीजन ही नीड ब्लेसिंग्स ऑफ द गॉडेस पोइट्री, सो दैट इट गिव्स हिम स्ट्रेंथ टू कंप्लीट दिस वर्क. ठीक है, और सेकेंडली invoking the muse is also one of the conventions of epic poetry. कोई भी epic poem आप पढ़ोगे, you would find first of all the poet would invoke the muse. अब समझ में आ गया आपको ये concept? Have you understood what I am trying to say? हाँ, ठीक है. तो अब मैं टेक्स्ट खोलूंगी और वहाँ से we are going to read a few lines. और इसका जो इम्पॉर्टेंट की टर्म्स है वो स्लाइड पे you'll be able to see. ठीक है, क्योंकि उसने कुछ माउंटेन का एक नाम वहाँ पे मेंशन किया है, माउंट सिनाई. ठीक है, एंड देन सियोन हिल, ऑल दीज थिंग्स, दीज आर बिब्लिकल रेफरेंसेस. ठीक है, तो अब वो आपको ये तो बात समझ में आ गई है कि वो जो गॉडेस ऑफ पोएट्री है या जो म्यूज है उसको ही इज मेकिंग अ प्रेयर. ओके, एट द सेम टाइम ही इज कंपेयरिंग कि मुझे किस तरह की इंस्पिरेशन दो, जैसे आपने इंस्पायर किया था मोजेस को फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम, है ना. तो इस तरह से वो कंपैरिजन कर रहे हैं कि मुझे भी उस तरह की इंस्पिरेशन चाहिए. ठीक है, आई हैड नरेटेड द स्टोरी ऑफ मोजेस टू यू. Moses is considered to be the first man who could see God according to the biblical story, and to whom God gave this task to spread his word. Okay, so similarly the poet says the way you inspired Moses, to whom he refers to as the shepherd. He says that shepherd in the poem. So he's like, the way you inspired that shepherd who was there, like to whom you give the message of that 10 commandments, similarly inspire me or give me the courage or strength to say your word, to say God's words in a way. ठीक है, क्योंकि मोजेस को जब भगवान ने बोला कि आप इजिप्ट जाओ और वहाँ पे लोगों को बताओ भगवान के बारे में, उसकी एग्जिस्टेंस के बारे में, and then Moses was somebody, he was inhabitant of Egypt and he was expelled from there because he was a Hebrew, and one of and somebody from his community was being bitten by the Egyptians, and he wanted to save this person, and as a result of this he was expelled from Egypt, and then he came to this another city, and there he married a girl who was daughter of a shepherd, and eventually he also became a shepherd afterwards. Okay, ये symbolic reference भी है. Even Jesus Christ is referred to as the great shepherd. ठीक है. In theological accounts you would find कि जो भगवान है उसको shepherd इसलिए कहा जाता है क्योंकि जो human kind है उनको sheeps बोला जाता है. ठीक है. हम जैसे पंजाबी में या हिंदी में एक टर्म यूज करते हैं भेड़ चाल, है ना, कि जो लोग होते हैं वो एक दूसरे को ब्लाइंडली फॉलो करते हैं और एक ही लीक पे चलना शुरू हो जाते हैं, है ना. तो जैसे हम कहते हैं कि यहाँ पे डेरे या जो ऐसे नकली जो संत हैं वो बहुत पैदा हो गए, पर लोगों के क्या है, भेड़ चाल है, जहाँ पे एक बंदा जाना शुरू कर देता सारे जाते हैं, है ना. तो यूजुअली इन मोस्ट ऑफ थियोलॉजिकल अकाउंट यू वुड फाइंड ह्यूमन बीइंग्स आर एड्रेस्ड एज शीप्स. ठीक है. एंड गॉड इज रेफर्ड टू एज शेपर्ड. शेपर्ड कौन होता है? जो शीप्स को डायरेक्शन देता है. ठीक है. तो आपको इस चीज को समझना है. तो मोजेस वॉज अ शेपर्ड बाय प्रोफेशन, and that is why in the poem you would find there is this reference called that shepherd. ठीक है. अब जब मोजेस को भगवान दिखे थे तो वो अपनी जो शीप्स के पीछे पीछे एक बहुत there was this hill Zion जिसका नाम यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है. ठीक है. Mount Sinai, वहाँ पे he reached and there he saw that there was fire in the bush but there was no smoke, and he went to check it out, and then he realized that maybe it is God himself, because there was so much light that he could not face it, and then God gave him his message. He became the messenger of God, and then he went to Egypt to kind of enlighten people or to tell them about God. ठीक है. तो try to look at the comparison. The way Moses went to spread God's word, similarly John Milton is trying to convey God's message, और he is actually trying, जैसे last line हम poem की पढ़ेंगे, इस stanza की पढ़ेंगे, तो it is like justifying ways of God to men. ठीक है. तो लोगों को बताना that even this fall of humankind was part of God's grand or bigger plan. ठीक है. इसको ये भगवान की गलती नहीं मान सकते, और ये नहीं कहेंगे कि गॉड क्रूअल था. he didn't show any kind of he didn't forgive them, है ना, and he didn't show any kind of compassion being God towards Adam and Eve. तो कहता है इस चीज को गलत नहीं समझना, because fall of humankind was also part of the larger plan of God. So that is what he is trying to justify through this poem. So he has this objective in his mind, and that is why he wants the blessings of the goddess of poetry. ठीक है. And he wants the goddess of poetry, the muse, to inspire him in the similar manner the way Moses was inspired by God. Okay. Now I'll read the next few lines. Okay. So yeah, he says, "Sing, heavenly muse, that on the secret top of Horeb or of Sinai didst inspire that shepherd who first taught the chosen seed." Chosen seed यहाँ पे is a reference to the people of Egypt. Okay. In the beginning, how the heavens and earth rose out of chaos. So now he is referring to कि किस तरह से the earth or the life was created. ठीक है. In the beginning, how the heaven and earth rose out of chaos. Or if Sion hill delight thee more, and Siloa's brook that flowed fast by the oracle of God, I thence invoke thy aid to my adventurous song. Invoke thy aid matlab your help to my adventurous song. That is this epic that he is going to write about this grand subject. ठीक है. And now see, there is this reference to Sion hill and Siloa's brook. And now I'll take you here. See, what is the Sion hill? It is the place, it is the place on which, it is the hill on which the city of Jerusalem stands. ठीक है, Jerusalem was actually like I told you, this community called Hebrews were exploited by the Egyptians. Okay, so God told Moses that tell the Hebrew people that they'll be given their own land, that is Jerusalem. And also Israel is also, I think, the name which is being used for this particular country. तो उनकी अपनी एक लैंड होगी, तो वो उसका रेफरेंस है यहाँ पे. और यहाँ पे जो सिलोम रिवर है, एक बिब्लिकल स्टोरी है कि यहाँ पे क्या हुआ था कि जीसस क्राइस्ट ने एक जो अंधा आदमी था उसकी आंखों में वापस रोशनी दी थी. ठीक है, he put some clay on blind man's eyes and then asked him to wash in that water of this river called Siloam, and after that this man was able to see. So please try to understand, maybe here Milton is also referring to his own blindness. Most of you would know, I think I even told you in my previous lecture that how Milton lost his eyesight like after in the later years of his life. And here maybe metaphorically he is also referring to enlightenment, not only the literal vision he's talking about, but also maybe spiritualism. Yes, है ना. तो इस तरह से it is, and then the next lines are, so he's like, give me that kind of vision, the way you kind of through miracle you gave eyesight to that particular man in Siloa's brook. Similarly, give me that kind of strength or vision to kind of spread God's message. That with no middle flight intends to soar above the Aeonian mount. That with no middle flight intends to soar above the Aeonian mount while it pursues things unattempted yet in prose or in rhyme. अच्छा, ये जो term है Aeonian mind, actually in Greek mythology it is considered that the muse, the goddess of poetry, resides in Aeonian mountain. ठीक है, so he says that I am going to attempt a kind of text which is unattempted yet in prose or rhyme, कि इस तरह का जो work है पहले कभी नहीं लिखा गया, so it is significant that way, and that's how it is important for him to seek the blessings of the goddess of poetry. And chiefly thou, O spirit, that dost prefer before all temple the upright heart and pure, instruct me, for thou knowest, thou from the first was present, and with mighty wings outspread, dove-like starts brooding on the vast abyss and madst it pregnant. तो बात ये हो रही है कि वो कह रहा है कि जो म्यूज है, goddess of poetry, it was there when the life began. It has seen the entire evolution of humankind. It is here since beginning. So that is why he is seeking its inspiration. Okay, what in me is dark, illumine, what is low, raise and support. ठीक है, तो वो कह रहा है कि मेरे अंदर जो भी बुराइयां हैं या डार्कनेस है उसको इल्यूमिन, उसको इनलाइटन करो, एंड वट एवर इज लो, रेज एंड सपोर्ट. ठीक है, तो कहीं ना कहीं वो मॉरल अपलिफ्टमेंट या मॉरल काइंड ऑफ इंटेग्रिटी, ही सीकिंग ऑल दैट, कि मुझ में जो भी कमियां हैं वो दूर करो, सो दैट आई एम with a pure heart will be able to kind of spread God's word. That to the height of this great argument I may assert eternal providence. ठीक है, providence का मतलब होता है कि फ्यूचर के बारे में सोचना या फ्यूचर का कोई प्लान होना. ठीक है, so he says that to the height of this great argument, है ना, ग्रेट आर्ग्यूमेंट क्या है उसका, I may assert eternal providence. eternal मतलब गॉड का जो प्रोविडेंस, जो प्लान था, जो है ना दुनिया, जो ह्यूमन काइंड के फ्यूचर के लिए, I may assert that, I may say, I want to assert that, I want to justify his plan. ठीक है, whatever God did was right, and justify the ways of God to men. तो ये उसका ग्रेट आर्ग्यूमेंट है, ठीक है. वो जस्टिफाई करना चाहता है गॉड्स प्लान टू ऑल द पीपल थ्रू दिस पोएम, ठीक है. सो दिस इज ऑल अबाउट दिस पोएम. इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चंस रिगार्डिंग दिस पोएम या आपको कुछ नहीं समझ में आया है आप मुझसे पूछ सकते हो. आफ्टर दिस विल स्टार्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट हेमलेट. इज देयर एनी क्वेश्चन? You may write that in chat box, please. Please explain its summary. Summary, I have explained that the first stanza of this poem is usually known as invocation to the muse. Invocation means seeking, the blessings of the goddess of poetry. And it is a tradition, a convention in epic poetry. In every epic poem, the epic begins with invocation to the muse, that is the poetry, the goddess of poetry. And similarly, this poem, following the epic tradition, begins with it. And in this first stanza, Milton talks about his objective, objective to write this poem, which he says is to justify the God's plan to men. Okay, and in the very beginning of the poem, in the first 4 lines, he will tell us about the subject of his poem, that he is talking about the fall of humankind. That is all. Ma'am, what about the questions? I'll give you the questions later. ठीक है. इसमें आपको एक तो यही आ सकता है कि एक तो कि discuss it as an epic poem, and I'll see some more questions. I'll give you the questions tomorrow. ठीक है. I'll do some research and I'll see. Aeonian mountain, मैंने बताया था ग्रीक माइथोलॉजी में it is considered that the muse resides in Aeonian mountain. ठीक है. So that is what Aeonian mountain is about. It is here as well. Aeonian mountain stood at the foot of Mount Helicon, not far from Thebes, and was sacred to the muses. ठीक है. तो ये कहा जाता है कि यहाँ पे it is a sacred place for the muses, क्योंकि ग्रीक माइथोलॉजी में देखो आपने देखा होगा कि there is goddess of beauty, there's goddess of poetry, there there's god of love. Okay, so they are considered gods and goddesses, and similarly muse is also considered a kind of goddess, and it is said that way in Greek mythology that it resided in the Aeonian mountain. ठीक. तो it was not far from Thebes. अब Thebes भी एक जो फेमस ग्रीक लेजेंड है उसका वहाँ पे उसका रेफरेंस आता है बार बार, एंड इट इज़ नोन एज द बर्थ प्लेस ऑफ द ग्रीक हीरो हरक्यूलिस, जो थीब्स है. ठीक है. एंड इट प्लेड मेजर रोल इन द स्टोरीज ऑफ इडिपस एंड डियोनिसिस. इडिपस के बारे में भी सुना होगा. एंड ऑल्सो परहैप्स द मोस्ट फेमस ग्रीक पोइट ऑफ द टाइम पिंडार लिव्ड इन थीब्स. ठीक है. तो उसके पास ये तो आप समझ सकते हो कि ग्रीक माइथोलॉजी की एक ये प्लेस है, एंड he is referring to Aeonian mountain because he believes that the muse resides there and he is seeking the blessings of muse. ठीक है. So you have to understand it in this context. समझ में आ गया आपको? Have you understood? Somebody was asking about Aeonian mountain. Shall I continue with my next text? That is Hamlet. ठीक है. तो without wasting any time, let us start talking about another play, Hamlet. It was written in 16th century by Shakespeare, and it was the period, the literary period, if we have to mark it in, it was the Elizabethan age. ठीक है. It was written almost in the when Elizabeth Queen Elizabeth was in her 60s. It was written during that time because there was so much turmoil in the state. People were concerned about who is going to take over because Elizabeth was not having any hair. Hire. ठीक है. So she never married and she had no children. So people were skeptical, like who is going to take over. Okay. And then there was speculation that this prince of Scotland, who was son to Mary the first. So maybe he is going to take over. So these kind of political speculations were going on. So Hamlet too in a way talks about this idea of change of power. Okay? And like I told you, literature reflects life, and literature of a particular period would be talking about the events happening, or or the political, social, religious tensions in a particular state. So literature reflects all that. Similarly, this particular play seems to in a way reflect on the political, religious, cultural tensions of England of that time. So if you are able to see the first page of this PPT, this is a relationship chart of particular characters in Hamlet. Though I'll be talking about all these characters in detail one by one, but this was just for you to see in the beginning, how these characters are related to each other, like how many characters there we have. I'll share this with you later in the Google Classroom. Okay, so we have Hamlet, okay, who is son of King Hamlet and Gertrude. Okay, and now Gertrude, when the play opens, we find that Gertrude is now married to Claudius. Claudius is Hamlet's uncle, and he was brother to King Hamlet. Okay, so now in a way he has become stepfather of Hamlet. Okay, and then we have another character called Polonius, who's a good friend of Claudius, and he has two children, Laertes and Ophelia. And Ophelia, we know, is in love with Hamlet. Okay, and these are some important characters. And then we have Fortinbras, who would appear in the end of the play. He is a Prince of Norway, and Hamlet would be choosing him as his successor in the end of the play. And apart from that, there are some minor characters. I'll be talking about them in detail in my next slides. Okay, so first of all, I chose to talk about the characters first, because when we are discussing the story, sometimes you're not able to remember the name of the character, or sometimes you're not able to identify who is he or who is she, and how he or she is related to the central character or to the story. Okay, so I'll give you a brief outline of the characters first of all, and after that I will discuss the story act-wise. Okay, so Hamlet is the Prince of Denmark. Denmark is the setting of this play, and apart from that, when the play opens, we are shown this palace of Alcino. Okay, so the place is Denmark, and it is the kingdom, or the palace is called Alcino. There we would find all these characters interacting with each other. Okay, so and Hamlet, it is told, is a student of the University of Wittenberg, and he has come back to attend his father's burial. Okay, and Hamlet is in the beginning of the play, we find that he is melancholy, that is in a very somber, sad mood. He's bitter and cynical, and is full of hatred for his uncle, because now the uncle has married his mother, and is disgustful at this very idea of his mother marrying his uncle, whom he does not really like. Okay, he believes that his father was a much better man, and his father and mother, they were really in love with each other, and how can the mother marry his uncle, who's an evil man according to Hamlet. So these kind of emotions he's dealing with when the play opens. So when the ghost of Hamlet's father appears, Hamlet becomes obsessed with avenging his father's death, but keeps thinking of reasons why he should wait before. Okay, so that becomes the primary event, or primary you can say idea of the play. Hamlet's postponement of his father's taking revenge of his father, why he keeps on postponing this act. Okay, so at that time we get to see this side of Hamlet's character. He's indecisive. And Hamlet is a character of contradictions. Okay, sometimes he is indecisive and hesitant, and sometimes he is rash and impulsive. This is a kind of, the play becomes in a way the psychological study or exploration of Hamlet's character. Why he is behaving the way he is behaving, what is the reason behind, what are the forces that are keeping him away, from taking which are stopping him from taking revenge. Okay, and what is it that he's trying to seek. Every time he would say he wants to be more sure of his uncle's guilt. Like, why would he kill his father, and why would he marry his mother? He gets a lot of chances to kill him, but he won't. He is seeking some kind of moral kind of logic or spiritual logic behind it. Like, what is it, and why is it happening, and why these kind of things have happened. So play is not only about revenge, but also about this moral and spiritual question of death. And then the next important character we have is Claudius. He is now, when the play begins, is the king of Denmark, because Hamlet's father has been killed by Claudius. That's what we are told. We are not shown that. Okay, it is the ghost of Hamlet's father. We are also not very sure that ghost actually exists, or this is what Hamlet believes, but this is what it is. Okay, so Claudius is like blamed of Hamlet's father's death by the ghost. Okay, and he is at present, when the play opens, we find that he is the king of Denmark, and he is the antagonist of the play. Okay, protagonist we know is the central character, or also can also be called the hero. But protagonist is not always the hero, but can also be the central character and not the hero. But here Hamlet is the hero, of course, of the story, is the protagonist, and Claudius is the antagonist, or the villain. Okay, who's on the other side, who's an evil man. Hero, of course, is a good man. Okay, so this is why the term antagonist is also used for the villainous character. Okay, so Claudius is a very ambitious politician, and he is very manipulative, and he knows how to control and manipulate people. And he would you would find him often plotting about assassinating people or murdering people in order to stay in power. See, even you look at it, how this particular play is significant even in the present age. And Shakespeare's plays are considered to be dealing with universal ideas or themes. Okay? You see, this theme of jealousy, or hatred, or love, or revenge. These are universal themes. We all have such emotions. We are able to identify with the characters. और आज भी इतने सालों बाद भी हमें ये लगेगा कि हाँ, अगर like somebody attacks your father, you would feel the similar kind of emotions to avenge your father. उसकी मौत का बदला लेना चाहोगे, या कुछ भी, उसकी इंसल्ट किसी ने कर दी है तो you will feel really bad about it. So universal theme होते हैं जो शेक्सपियर के जो plays, and that is why they are important. Even you see in the present day, you would find there are so many web series coming up. For example, there is so much controversy going on about this new web series called Tandav. Even in that one, you would find, it is about the power shift. Who is going to take over, who's going to be the next PM. So these themes are universal, and this play is significant even in the present times, because it deals with all these ideas which are relevant even in present. And then this person Claudius is a typical politician that you can identify with even present day politicians who would go to any length to stick to their chair, to stick to the power. Yes, okay, yeah. And then he does not understand Hamlet or Hamlet's motive, but is quick to perceive Hamlet as a threat and take decision. He is somebody who would make a plot to get rid of Hamlet. In the play we would see that. Okay, and he seems to be a very thick skinned man. He does not feel any kind of remorse of what he has done. Okay, and Hamlet would make a number of strategies and plots in order to see whether he is feeling some kind of remorse, whether he is feeling guilty of what he has done. He wants to be sure of his guilt. So we there also there also you can't be very sure of whether Hamlet is trying to be sure of his guilt, or he is just not ready to take action, and that is why he is taking it as an excuse. तो बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं जो जैसे दिख रहा है वो ऐसा है नहीं है, उसके पीछे बहुत सारे रीजंस हो सकते हैं। कहने का मतलब ये है ना। ये हम सारी चीज़ें ऑफ कोर्स बाद में भी इन डिटेल डिस्कस करेंगे कि वो क्यों पोस्टपोन करता है रिवेंज को, है ना, और क्या रीज़न है उसकी मैडनेस का। ये सारी बातें मैं और दोबारा भी करूँगी, पर कभी कभी व्हेन यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट यू फील लाइक शेयरिंग अ डिटेल और टू. So, but we find that his affection for Gertrude seems real, if not his other emotions. There are some comments. Okay, yeah. This is nothing. It was only about the attendance. Okay. Let me just go back to the slide then. And then, 1 second. You keep asking for the attendance link, and then I go back there and sometimes my system hang. Anyways, so next important character that we have is Gertrude. Okay, she is Hamlet's mother, and of course Hamlet's uncle Claudius, presently she is his wife. And problem is it's been 2 weeks that the king Hamlet has died, has passed away, and only after 2 weeks Hamlet's mother has married Claudius, and that's what he feels really bad about. Okay, Gertrude is shown to be a very affectionate woman, and she seems to be a very loving mother, but we never get to see herself through her eyes. Nowhere in the play she seems to explain her actions. We often see her through Hamlet, who would call her a weak, depraved, a low woman, and who is solely motivated by lust. He thinks that she has done this only, for the physical gratification, and not because she loves this man Claudius. Okay. And then next character we have is Polonius. अब हेमलेट की फैमिली आपको क्लियर है. ओके, वी हैव क्लॉडियस, हेमलेट स्टेप फादर, वी हैव गर्टूड एंड हेमलेट. ये 3 लोग हैं हेमलेट की फैमिली में. अब नाउ वी आर शिफ्टिंग टूवर्ड्स अनदर फैमिली, पोलोनियस. इसके 2 बच्चे हैं, ठीक है, लैरिट्स एंड ओफिलिया. ओफिलिया हु इज गोइंग टू फॉल इन लव विद हेमलेट इन द प्ले. ठीक है, तो पोलोनियस की अब जो फैमिली है उसकी हम बात करेंगे. पोलोनियस किस तरह का इंसान है? ही इज़ ए लॉर्ड चैम्बरलेन ऑफ क्लॉडियस कोर्ट. मतलब ही इज़ ए वन ऑफ द, जैसे हमारे MPs होते हैं, MLAs होते हैं, तो वहाँ पे इन किंग्स कोर्ट देयर वर वेरियस पोजीशंस व्हिच आर गिवन टू पीपल. ओके, सो ही वाज गिवन द पोजीशन ऑफ लॉर्ड चैम्बरलेन, and he is father of Larets and Ophelia, and he is shown to be a man with good intentions, but he is often involved into scheming and plotting and spying on others and also on his son. ठीक है, अपने बेटे के पीछे भी वो जासूस भेजता है, एंड ही इज़ क्लॉडियस फ्रेंड, एंड उसके पास जाके वो अक्सर प्लॉट्स बनाता है हेमलेट को एक्सपोज करने का, या उसकी मैडनेस का जो रीज़न है वो जानने का. तो इस तरह की चीज़ें वो करता रहता है. ही फ्रीक्वेंटली लीड्स टू द रॉन्ग कंक्लूजन्स एंड स्पीचेस आर कॉमिकली पंपस एंड लॉन्ग विंडेड. मतलब वो जो कहता है, मतलब उस पर आपको हंसी आती है, क्योंकि यूजली ही डज नॉट बिहेव दैट वे. He does not practice what he preaches. और जो भी इसके conclusions होते हैं, interpretations होती है, वो कहता है कि Hamlet has gone mad because he's just lovesick, and because I've asked Ophelia to stay away from him, and that's why he's gone mad, which is absolutely rubbish. I mean, this is not even the reason behind Hamlet's madness. Okay, so this is how you would find that he would frequently lead to the wrong conclusions. Our next important character we have is Horatio. Horatio is Hamlet's best friend. Okay, and they have studied together at the University of Wittenberg. And Hamlet trusts Horatio more than any other characters in the play, and he's a loyal and helpful friend to Hamlet throughout the play. And in the end, when everybody you would find in this play dies, okay, and at that time Horatio remains alive, and Hamlet would tell Horatio to tell his story to the world, okay, the story that we are reading now. Next important, there are 11 comments. Time हो गया क्या? What is wrong? Dear, why are you dependent for SS on other? You can take. Is there any significant comment, or did anyone ask me any question? I missed some slide. कोई बात नहीं, I'm going to share these slides for you. Don't worry about that. Okay. So far I have only discussed Hamlet's character, and after that his father, stepfather Claudius, and after that I have discussed the mother Gertrude, and now I was and then yes, we also discussed talked about Polonius, who's father of Ophelia and Laertes, and now I was talking about Horatio, who is Hamlet's best friend. Okay, and then okay, next character we have is Ophelia. Ophelia is an important character. Of course, she is love of Hamlet. He feels for her, and she also seems to love him. And she is portrayed as a sweet and innocent young girl, and she obeys his father and brother. When they would ask him not to see Hamlet, she would agree that. Okay. She also becomes mad when her father dies, and she would commit suicide. Such things would happen, and she is an important character because her father would use Ophelia in order to know the reason behind Hamlet's madness, or to know what he's up to. Okay, and she delivers some important speeches in the play where and through those speeches, in a way, Shakespeare or the dramatist talks about the sexually exploitative and unfaithful young men, or you can say a woman's perspective on men. And Laertes is Ophelia's brother and Polonius' son, and he's a young man who spends much of his time in France. He's studying there, and he's passionate and quick to action, quite a contrast to Hamlet, who keeps on postponing things. He's not able to act, है ना. Hamlet जो है वो बहुत ही philosophical है, thoughtful है, he keeps on thinking. On the other hand, Laertes is very quick to action, and he is not reflective, वो ज़्यादा सोचता नहीं है, बस करता है. And then Fortinbras is another character. He would appear in the end. He, I told you, is the Prince of Norway. और जो नॉर्वे का जो राजा था, ठीक है, उसको हेमलेट के जो फादर ने हराया था. And now he wants to take revenge of his father from Denmark, that is from King of Denmark, and he wants to kill Hamlet for that, because Hamlet's father had killed his father. And but Hamlet admires this man because he is so sure of taking revenge of his father, unlike Hamlet. ठीक है, तो आप हेमलेट का अगर करेक्टर देखोगे, उसको जो लोग पसंद हैं वो इस तरह के Fortinbras जो क्विकली एक्ट करते हैं, बट ही हिमसेल्फ इज नॉट एबल टू डू सो. सो दिस इज व्हाई वी सी वी सी नंबर ऑफ कॉन्ट्राडिक्शंस इन हेमलेट पर्सनालिटी, और वही जो चीज़ है वो हम स्टडी करने वाले हैं इस प्ले में, कि हेमलेट ऐसा क्यों है, व्हाई ही इज नॉट एबल टू डिसाइड, and what is the reason behind, and why portraying such a character, what Shakespeare was trying to indicate. So now the next character that appears in the play is the ghost. Okay, first of all, ghost is seen by the attendants. जैसे guards होते हैं ना, महल के बाहर खड़े होते हैं. First of all, they see the ghost. उसके बाद they'll tell Hamlet's best friend Horatio that they've seen a ghost, and after that Horatio will share this thing with Hamlet, and and then Hamlet is able to finally see the ghost and is able to talk to it. Okay, and the ghost is very important because from this revelation that ghost makes, okay, it would tell Hamlet that Claudius has killed his father, and it would also insist Hamlet to take his revenge. ठीक है, तो ये जो एक पूरा हम कह सकते हैं, अगर इसको कैरेक्टर कहें या एक इवेंट कहें, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है बिकॉज दिस इज व्हाट इज गोइंग टू टेक द एक्शन ऑफ द प्ले फर्दर. उससे पहले हमें समझ में नहीं आ रहा कि क्या हो रहा है, क्यों हो रहा है. तो एक्चुअल स्टोरी इन ए वे बिगिन आफ्टर द अपीयरेंस ऑफ द घोस्ट. ठीक है, सो नाउ हेमलेट हैज a particular motive in his mind, because earlier he was merely speculating. He didn't like his uncle, of course, but he didn't know for sure that he has killed his father. Okay? But now he becomes sure of it and he decides to take revenge of his father. So that is why it sets the kind of story in a particular direction. And then these are some minor characters, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. They are courtiers. And they are former friends of Hamlet because they had studied together in Witten, University of Wittenberg. And Claudius and Gertrude are going to use them to find out the cause of Hamlet's madness. They'll be killed, of course, in that plot which will be set for Hamlet's death. तो Hamlet वहाँ से कैसे escape करता है, वो सारी चीज़ें आपके साथ मैं बाद में शेयर करूँगी. पर ये उसके friends होते हैं और इनको use करता है Claudius to know about Hamlet's motives and madness. Okay. And this is a list of some minor characters from the play. We have Osric, who's a foolish courtier, and he is important because in the end of the play, when there will be this duel, this fight between Laertes and Hamlet, who would summon Hamlet at that time. And then we have Voltimand and Cornelius, who are sent to Norway by Claudius to persuade the king to prevent Fortinbras from attacking. ठीक है, जब प्ले शुरू होता है एक्चुअली तो वहाँ पे स्पेकुलेशंस हैं क्योंकि पावर शिफ्ट हुई है. अर्लियर किंग हेमलेट वाज द किंग एंड नाउ क्लॉडियस इज द किंग. तो यहाँ पे फर्स्ट एक्ट में ही हम देखेंगे पीपल आर लाइक स्कैर्ड and anxious कि अब क्या होगा, whether this new king will be able to control the state or not, will be able to protect us from outside attacks or not. तो ये है कि वहाँ पे फोर्टिनब्रास है जो अपना बदला लेना चाहता है अपने फादर का, और वो कभी भी अटैक कर सकता है. ठीक है, तो वो अब नॉर्वे का प्रिंस है. तो इसलिए जो क्लॉडियस है वो नॉर्वे में उनको भेजेगा अपने जो कोर्टियर्स हैं ताकि उसके साथ वो बात कर सके. ठीक है, जो फोर्टिनब्रास है उसके अंकल के साथ. And then we have characters like Merciless and Bernardo. They are officers who see the ghost first of all in this palace of Elsinore. And then we have Francisco. He's a soldier and a guardsman at Elsinore. And then we have this character called Rinaldo. Rinaldo क्या है, Polonius का servant है और उसको वो भेजता है फ्रांस लैरेट्स के ऊपर चेक रखने के लिए और उसकी जासूसी करने के लिए. ठीक है, so now you know about all the important characters in the play. We have 15 minutes I think with us. 1:15 तक है ना हमारा लेक्चर. ओके, ठीक है. तो अभी आपको सारे कैरेक्टर्स के नाम ऑलमोस्ट समझ में आ गए हैं ना, याद हो जाएंगे व्हेन आई डिस्कस स्टोरी. समझ में आ गया ना कैरेक्टर्स का कौन कौन है, क्या क्या है. ठीक है, ऑलराइट. ठीक है, सो नाउ वी विल स्टार्ट टॉकिंग अबाउट द प्ले. आज मैंने आपके लिए जो एक्ट 1 है उसके 5 सीन हैं दैट आई प्रिपेयर्ड फॉर यू एंड आई विल टॉक अबाउट दैट. ठीक है, उसमें क्या क्या होता है एक्ट 1 में. जो फर्स्ट एक्ट होता है किसी भी प्ले का, हम उसको बोलते हैं एक्सपोजिशन. ठीक है, एक्सपोजिशन क्या होता है, वहाँ पे आपको जो भी स्टोरी में होने वाला है या हो रहा है उसका आपको उसकी बैकग्राउंड बताई जाती है एंड ऑल द इम्पॉर्टेंट कैरेक्टर्स आर रिवील्ड. ठीक है, सो वेन एवर यू आर गोइंग टू एनालाइज अ पर्टिकुलर प्ले, so you would divide into various sections called exposition and then climax and then denouement and that's all. ठीक है, तो इस तरह से कि कैसे जो एक्शन है फिर उसके बाद राइजिंग एक्शन है एंड देन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट है एंड देन फाइनल रेजोल्यूशन है. सो दिस इज हाउ अ प्ले इज डिवाइडेड. I'll share the slide, of course. Which one you want me to? I'll share the entire this PPT with you later. आप तब देख लेना. And now let's talk about the setting of this play. I told you already, place जहाँ पे ये सारी action हो रहा है, it is Denmark in Elsinore Castle. ठीक है. और दूसरे जो रेफरेंसेस आएंगे कंट्रीज के वो है फ्रांस और नॉर्वे. ठीक है. वहाँ पे भी कुछ एक्शन जो प्ले का होगा क्योंकि ये जो हमारा सेंट्रल कैरेक्टर है हेमलेट विल बी सेंट टू सम अदर कंट्री और रास्ते में उस पर अटैक होगा, तो इसलिए वी आर ऑल्सो गोइंग टू सी सम अदर कंट्री इन द प्ले. पर ज़्यादातर जो एक्शन होता है इस प्ले का दैट इज़ इन डेनमार्क इन एल्सिनो कासल. एल्सिनो कासल में द किंग ऑफ डेनमार्क लिव्स. ओके. सो व्हाट हैपेंस इन एक्ट 1 सीन 1. In Act 1, Scene 1, there's nothing much that happens except the appearance of the ghost. Okay, we happen to see the ghost of Hamlet's father, but at this stage we are not sure of whether it is Hamlet's father's ghost or not, because the guards who have seen it would say that he looks somewhat like the King Hamlet. Okay, the armor that he's wearing, the way he's dressed up and everything, they assume that it must be the ghost of Hamlet's father. And also, you know, the presence or the arrival of the ghost also makes them feel that something sinister, something evil or something negative is going to happen. Okay? So in a way, you know, indirectly the dramatist is foreshadowing, is letting us know that the events in the play or the action of the play would involve bloodshed and rivalry. Okay? Act 2, Scene 2. Here we would find, first of all, we would see a lot of characters, important characters in the scene 2. We would see Claudius, we would see his mother Gertrude, and even Hamlet, and Polonius, and Horatio. You know, ये सारे characters हमें देखने को मिलते हैं in the scene 2. Okay, here the event is Claudius coronation. इसकी जो crown देते हैं king को, जो नया राजा बनता है, उस सेरेमनी को कोरोनेशन बोलते हैं. तो वो चल रही है सेरेमनी और वहाँ पे ही वुड एड्रेस हिज पीपल और वो उनको कहता है कि यू नो जो एटमॉस्फेयर था इन हिज किंगडम वाज ऑफ यू नो everybody was in a very sad mood. Okay, so in order to balance that kind of mood, he has got married to Gertrude in order to balance it. Like now there is this mahal of happiness and you know, so that way you can see like how indifferent and cold Claudius is. Like his you know in a way brother has died and he is like so soon indulging into celebration. Okay, later we'll also see that how he would, you know, at night he would get drunk and there are all kind of noises of celebration that Hamlet happens to hear from the palace and he feels really disturbed about it. And we see Polonius and Laertes who wishes to return to France. है ना, यहाँ पे हमें ये दो कैरेक्टर जो कि बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट प्ले करेंगे स्टोरी में, ये भी देखने को मिलते हैं. एंड यहाँ पे हमें कॉन्वर्सेशन दिखती है पोलोनियस और लैरेट्स की, और लैरेट्स कहता है कि आई had come for Claudius coronation and now I wish to go back. The father allows him and also he takes Claudius approval that shall he go back to France, and Claudius would say yes, of course you can. यहाँ पे there is this glimpse of Laertes that we see in this act. And सबसे important जो चीज़ इस act में है, सीन में है, वो है हेमलेट की जो appearance है. You know, he is wearing all black clothes and he's in a very melancholic mood. That is extremely sad, somber mood. You know, and he is not liking all this celebration. He's like, my father has died and you know what all they are doing. And now he would also contemplate suicide here. ये एक important theme है इस play का, ठीक है? Contemplation over suicide. और क्यों, मतलब सुसाइड को हम किस तरह से समझें. यू नो, शुड वी अंडरस्टैंड दिस एक्ट एज टू बी यू नो एक्ट ऑफ समबडी who is not ready to accept life or who is not ready to face the drudgery of life, the problems of life. You know, is he a coward or is there any other reason, you know? So the play contemplates on the this very idea of suicide as well. This I'll discuss in more detail later. So this is one of the often quoted line from the play. You know, it has become a proverb almost. आपने काफ़ी बार सुना होगा, frailty thy name is woman. तो यहाँ पे ना एक बहुत एक लंबी उसकी जो हम बोलते हैं मोनोलॉग, यू नो, मोनोलॉग तो पता होगा ना आपको क्या होता है जब एक करेक्टर खुद अपने आप से बात कर रहा है. एंड इन कॉन्टेक्स्ट ऑफ प्ले आप इसको ऐसे समझो कि जैसे आप प्ले देख रहे हो, वहाँ पे जो एक करेक्टर अपने आप से बात कर रहा है ना, ऑडियंस को सुन रहा है, पर जो बाकी करेक्टर्स हैं प्ले के वो उनको नहीं सुन रही वो बात, पर आपको सुन रहा है, आपको पता लग रहा है कि वो क्या कह रहा है. ठीक है, तो उसको मोनोलॉग बोलते हैं, जो करेक्टर अकेला अपने आप से बात कर रहा है. ठीक है, तो ये बहुत ही इम्पॉर्टेंट एक डायलॉग है, आप इसको डिटेल में और पढ़ लेना, पर मैंने इसकी 1-2 लाइनें आपके लिए लिखी हैं, है ना. तो नाउ ही इज टॉकिंग कंटेम्पलेटिंग ओवर हर मदर्स बिहेवियर, हिज मदर्स बिहेवियर. ही सेज शी मैरिड ओ मोस्ट विकेड स्पीड, है ना, इतनी जल्दी उसने शादी कर ली. टू पोस्ट विद सच डेक्सटेरिटी टू इंसेस्चुअस शीट्स, मतलब इतनी जल्दी थी उसको, यू नो. एंड दिस इज एन इंसेस्चुअस रिलेशनशिप. ठीक है, कि उसने अपने हस्बैंड के ब्रदर के साथ शी इज स्लीपिंग विद, है ना. एंड देन ही ऑल्सो सेज फ्रेलिटी दाई नेम इज वुमेन, कि इतनी जल्दी चेंज हो जाती हैं जो औरतें होती हैं. मतलब शी यूज्ड टू लव माई फादर सो मच एंड नाउ शी इज स्लीपिंग विद अनदर मैन लाइक ओनली आफ्टर 11 days of his death. And this is how he and in this context I would also tell you that we will also be reading this play in context of misogynistic ideas in this play, है ना. औरतों को कैसे देखा जाता है, और मिसोजिनिस्ट क्या होता है, दैट a behavior like or hatred towards women kind, औरतों की तरफ जो नफरत की जो फीलिंग होती है एक आदमी की, उसको मिसोजिनिस्ट बोलते हैं ना, जो औरतों को नफरत करता है. तो उस तरह के भी कुछ आइडियाज़ हैं इस प्ले में, वो भी हम डिस्कस करेंगे. एंड देन in this part Horatio reveals about the ghost to Hamlet. ठीक है, उसको बताता है that we have seen a ghost and seems to be your father's ghost. I think this is 108 और हमारे पास कुछ मिनट हैं. rather than talking about the story, let us take a few questions from you. अगर आपके कुछ questions हैं अभी तो आप मुझसे बात कर सकते हो. Thy means yours. Yes, coronation होती है ceremony where a new king wears his throne. जैसे oath taking ceremony नहीं होती, उसी तरह से coronation को बोलते हैं. ठीक है, जब उसको क्राउन पहनाया जाता है नए किंग को जो टेक ओवर कर रहा है पिछले वाले को. Yes, I will put all this material on Google Classroom. उसमें मैं आपको टेक्स्ट भी भेजने वाली हूँ हेमलेट का, और अगर आप कुछ एडिशनल पढ़ना चाहते हो तो जैसे कुछ क्रिटिकल बुक्स हैं हेमलेट पे, ठीक है, वो भी आई विल अपलोड इन द गूगल क्लासरूम, वहाँ से आप लोग ले सकते हो. और कुछ अगर आप पूछना चाहते हो तो यू आर वेलकम. कल भी हम इसको कंटिन्यू करेंगे. आई ट्राई कि कल हम इसकी पूरी जो स्टोरी है वो डिस्कस करें, और उससे नेक्स्ट डे हम इसका जो थीमेटिक कंसर्न्स है उन पे बात करेंगे. इज देयर एनीथिंग दैट यू वांट टू आस्क मी? घोस्ट इज हेमलेट्स फादर्स घोस्ट. Yes, please try to understand this. Of course, it is mentioned as like anybody, because there are 4 characters who have seen the ghost. It is Horatio, Hamlet, and the 2 guards who are like on duty. In the 2 officers who are on duty. ठीक है. हाँ, जल्दबाजी, डेक्सटेरिटी का मतलब जल्दबाजी, टू इंसेस्चुअस मतलब इंसेस्चुअस रिलेशनशिप बनाने के लिए.